Welcome all 94 participants. Well, I guess that includes me, so 93. Thank you for joining us. I don't know how long this is going to take my bit. I'm hoping around about 40 minutes, something like that, but I haven't sort of worked through it all myself, you know, in a slick run through. So yeah, let's dive straight in. Just a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about. So you can see that on the right. This is more for my sort of aide memoire than anything else. But so the basic operation of it, talk about the modules you can buy, settings, how to add external varios, the function of the sort of auto start, auto stop, start button, confuses people a little bit sometimes. Instruments and screens, routes and waypoints, triangle assistant, how to add custom airspace or NOTAMs, how I set it up if I'm doing a comp, and just in general sort of final glide, what I'm looking at, how to share flights, and a few other tips. So that said, let us dive in. So the basic operation, I mean, it's difficult to do a show of hands, but I imagine most people who, well, certainly everyone who uses FlySkyHy will understand the basic operation, but there may be some people here who are thinking about using it, or maybe even buying an iPhone, a second-hand iPhone, just so they can use it. So you won't exactly know how it works. You can set up multiple screens, and you can switch between them by just basically sliding with your finger, or you can set up the sort of proximity sensor so that when you wave your hand over it, it switches screen. And that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm not sure you can see me, but you probably can now. So that's the basic operation. To access the sort of menu and the different sort of FlySkyHy screens as opposed to the sort of instrument screens, which is what we're seeing here, you slide up on any instrument, but obviously you don't slide up on the map because the map will just slide up as well. So I can slide my finger up on the top instruments, and you can see the menu appears at the bottom. So you've got your flight book, you've got a map where you can, here you zoom in, zoom out with just two fingers, pinch and zoom. So this isn't really designed to be used in flight because you'll be struggling to do this in flight with gloves on. You've got the waypoints, screen showing all your saved waypoints and the route at the top. And then you've got all the various settings here. So let's dive into the settings. Sort of first thing I tend to explore in any app, really, just to see what the options are. So first off, what are the different modules? You can buy FlySkyHy, I think it's $8.99 is the basic module, but if you're an XC pilot, you will definitely want to buy the waypoints, airspaces, and XC package as a minimum. And I think they're all the same price. It's like another $8.99. Map preload, that lets you preload maps when you're at home on Wi-Fi, i.e. if you're going on holiday somewhere and you don't expect to have any sort of, well, much cell phone coverage, and you want to download maps, you can preload them, you can cache them in the FlySkyHy's cache. The reason why Rene is asking people, Rene is the developer, by the way, the reason why Rene is asking people to pay for that module is because he has to pay Google for every, you know, I don't know what the deal is, but every 1,000 sort of tiles, he gets a bill. That's something like that. So he's asking us to fund that. So I would say, if you can afford it, go for it and keep Rene, give him an incentive to keep on developing it. Right. So you've bought all the modules now, or extensions. So let's just have a look at the individual settings. Pilot and glider is pretty self-evident, really. The reason why it's in there is so that when you upload flights to X Contest or whatever, or the XC League, the glider. I'm saying this. I think the glider is in the IGC file. And then you put your approximate trim speed, stall speeds, etc., glide ratio in, and it just helps FlySkyHy do some calculations. Vario. So FlySkyHy does actually use the iPhone's barometer to you know, it can be a vario in its own right. If you so say you've got an external vario and the battery runs out or whatever, you can mid-flight switch to these settings, turn the vario on, like during flight, for example, and then your iPhone will take over. So as a sort of last resort, it's probably useful to know that. The middle of the section, you've got where you attach or where you set up external Bluetooth varios. I've got an XCTrack. Others are available. You have the option of using the device GPS. If that's turned off, what that means is the FlySkyHy will use your iPhone's GPS, which will use a bit more battery. Everyone will be using FlySkyHy with an external battery, so that's not a huge issue, really. The one reason that I've sometimes would leave that off is so that I've got completely independent IGC files, i.e. they're not sort of sharing the same GPS data. So I've got one on my XCTrack, and then the FlySkyHy one will be using iPhone's GPS. And potentially, if you're doing a competition and you're just scraping into the goal cylinder at the end of a task, this is exactly what happened to me, but before I used FlySkyHy. But I literally landed on the cylinder downwind, and my FlyMaster, I don't know if I've got this the right way around, said I was in, and the FlyMaster tracker that the comp was issuing said I was out, and they were able to take the one that said I was in. So that might be the only reason you would do that. These days I just have it set to use device GPS. And then use FLAM data if you've got a FLAM device. Live tracker. So this is where, if you're doing like hike and fly races and you want to be live tracking from the get-go, i.e. before you're even flying, you would put that to always on. And so whilst I'm talking through the rest of the settings, have a look at the background here, this map, and at some point we should see a little paraglider icon there. So you enter your LiveTrack 24. Other live tracking services are available, but most people use LiveTrack 24. And you can set up friends, and I've got a whole list of them. And it can be quite annoying when you're flying, you know, abroad in France, for example, and you're seeing your mates pop up on the edge of the screen flying in England. And the way I get rid of, is a quick way of preventing that from happening is just to, you can see a lot of these names like Harry here, there's an X at the end of after his live track name or his username, and that just forces it to be an invalid name, so it won't show. So that's how I quickly sort of hide people. It's a bit hit and miss. I've asked Rene in the past if he can put like a distance filter on it, so you only see people within, you know, like 20 kilometers of you, but he obviously hasn't got around to doing that. Don't want to spend too much time on that. Maps, so I always have it set on terrain. Orientation, I have a sort of general course normally. I'm just setting it north for this demo so that it looks it's easier to see what's going on. Show landings in the Alps. It can be quite useful to show landings and takeoffs, you know, if you're doing a vol biv or something like that. But in the UK, I have those set to none. show waypoints. I've got hundreds of waypoints. If we look at my screen here, you can see they're dotted all over the place. This is on the map screen. And when I'm flying, I don't want to see them all. There's no reason to see them all. So I've got them turned off in the settings to only show route points. Yeah, that's enough to talk about that. Airspaces. I'm going to talk about different airspace sources later on. Airspace classes, and again, I've got my airspace classes sort of listed here, you know, my settings, and I can show them. I'm not going to go through them all now because it will take forever, but you can set them, you can have different colors, different border styles, different let's have a look at, yeah, different alert distances for different airspace classes. So it's very sophisticated and granular setup. Really, you just got to play around with that and find the settings that work best for you. And then other, auto start, auto end. I tend to have those both turned off. Auto start, mainly just so that when you're sort of on a train on the way back home or in the car or whatever, you don't accidentally just start a new flight. There's no problem with that. You can easily delete it again. But I prefer to use the start button to start the flight beforehand. Auto end flight, again, I sort of turn it off manually, partly because of sort of hike and fly races where you might want it to carry on recording. What other units? I'm not going to bother with that. Auto switch to thermal centering, it's worth turning that on. Touch-free control, that's what I was talking about, using the proximity sensor. Yeah, that might be worth actually just having that set to during flight. Right. So that's all the settings. Let's just talk a little bit more about the auto start, auto end and start button. There is a start button, which I've got on my second screen. And you might think that when you press that, it automatically starts recording the flight. But really, it's telling FlySkyHy to get ready to record the flight. It won't actually start recording. Actually, I've just noticed on the map, the live track still hasn't appeared on it. That's because I'm on the wrong map. Sorry, man. Let's just. Oh, come on. Get out of the way. There we go. Yeah, I wasn't on the right map. So we can see my live tracker has appeared in Bath. Sorry, that was a distraction. So yes, the start button. So it basically makes sure that FlySkyHy is running in the foreground. Everything it's alerting you that it will alert you that the Vario, your Bluetooth Vario isn't connected or isn't turned on. So it's just sort of telling itself to get ready. Once you've pressed start, that means that when you do take off, even if you've got auto start disabled, it will start recording your flight. So that's just my setting. You might prefer to have it set to auto start. Yeah, so at the end of the flight, I just press the end button. Once you press start, see here you go. This is what happens. It tells you haven't got your XCTrack connected. So at the end of the flight, just press stop. Right, let's look at the different, how to set up new screens and play around with the instruments. So I've got 3 main screens I use here. This is the sort of one I've just been playing around with. But I've got, my setups are, I've got an overview screen, which I normally have zoomed out so I can get a good overview of the airspace that's coming up when I'm flying. Then I've got a more zoomed in navigation one. So if I'm approaching a turn point or something, I will look at this. And in fact, if I'm doing a comp, I tend to keep it on this screen the whole time, because it's got information like distance to the next route point down at the bottom here, distance to goal, arrival height over the next waypoint, arrival height over goal. So it's all useful information to have. So when I'm switching between these screens, I try and keep certain information constant. So like the instruments at the top there, you'll see that they're actually the same on both screens. On the thermaling screen, they're a little bit different. And I found on the thermaling screen, it's quite useful to have that graphical view at the bottom to save you glancing. If you're in weak lift, you can just glance at it and see, you know, whether you've been going up or whether you're actually gently sinking. And on the thermaling screen as well, you see I've got two lift instruments. So one is instantaneous and the lower one is average. And so you can click on that, and this is a fairly new feature. You can set your average between like 0 seconds or 60 seconds. So you can't do it exactly, but that would be 30 seconds, and that's going to be roughly sort of 15 seconds, which is roughly the revolution, you know, the time it takes to do a complete circle in a thermal. So if we want to add new instruments or a whole new page even, if you're starting FlySkyHy for the first time, this will be a complete blank canvas. But you have to just press and hold on an instrument. And now I can actually slide to a complete blank page. And press the plus, and then you get a list of all the instruments here. So I'm not going to design one, I'll just put a couple in. If you've got an external Bluetooth stereo, put your Bluetooth status there. That's useful to have. Putting maps in there, I'll probably go past it, map view. And that's a sort of pinch and zoom to move around and resize. To get rid of it, you just delete and hit delete. To sort of finish editing, you just don't do anything after sort of 5 seconds, it switches itself off again. Does that cover? Yeah, oh yes, that's good. The blue line, you can't see it at the moment, but when you're flying, you get a blue line from your central position, which indicates your, in fact, if I do a replay, let's just replay any flight will do. Let's do a cross-country flight, be a bit more useful. So after a little while, you get a blue line coming from the arrow, and it takes a bit of time to appear. But that basically tells you how far you can expect to glide, given, there we go, it's just appeared. Zoom in with a double tap. So at this, you know, on this particular, this glide angle, I'm doing roughly 10 to 1, and that's how far I can expect to glide. So if I kept on that course, I'd end up in the middle of Kemble. And you can see that on the side view beneath, you can see the blue line entering into Kemble airspace there. So that's useful if you're trying to cross a mountain, or whether if you're flying over some airspace and you want to see whether you're going to maybe clip the corner of it. So yeah, it's pretty useful, that side view. So I'll just stop that now. Go back to here. Oh, rattling through because there's a lot to cover. Right, routes and waypoints. So you can create routes on the fly in, you know, in FlySkyHy. So let's just show you how to do that. So you swipe up to get to the map menu, and let's just go somewhere where I haven't really got, we've got a bit of empty space. So you click the middle button in the top, and that puts it in the middle of the screen. Quite often it's not going to be in exactly the right place. So to move it, like if I try to move it now, it just moves the whole screen. So you have to tap on it, and then you can move it, you can drag it around. So let's just put it there, for example. Click the I button, and then click the sort of root button bottom left. Boom. Dismiss. So that's in the first waypoint in the route. I've put it in exactly the same place. That's pretty stupid. Let's move it there. So add to the route, dismiss. We're just going to do a little triangle. Add it to the route. And then this is where the XC League is incredibly pernickety if you're designing a triangle. The start and finish cylinders have to be exactly the same. So I don't actually need to add a new waypoint. I can just click on this one again, click the I, and add it to the route. And so that ensures that they are. You might think, oh, damn it, I've just put it in the wrong order. I actually want to fly it the other way around. So go onto the waypoint screen, go into your route, and then you can just click and drag and just swap them around like that, the middle ones. And so now if we go back to the map view, we'll see we're going round anti-clockwise. There are different types of waypoint. You can make an optional waypoint, and that is useful. Let's just delete this route. So go to delete a route, just go to the waypoints, slide on it, and just do delete. Okay, yeah, that's deleted the route, but those waypoints were, I'd actually created them separately, so they're still there. So I'll just declutter it. Click on them and click the X. So say we were doing a flight from, well, let's say Westbury, and we wanted to try and get to the, no, let's use that as an example. So we've got to keep clear of this sort of this corner of Salisbury Plain danger area there. So we can add a waypoint. It's not exactly in the right place, so we'll move it roughly there. This is going to be an optional waypoint, so we're going to make it a bit bigger than that, because let's just make it, it doesn't really matter, let's make it quite a bit bigger, but we'll call it optional as well. And we'll just drag it so that it's sort of kissing the edge of it. Whoops, kissing the edge of the airspace. You get the idea. Let's just leave it like that. So let's say we're starting the flight at Westbury. So we'll add that to the route. So this is if you want to, declare a flight. So then we'll have this one, and we'll add it to the route. And then we're going to try and get down to here, for example, as a goal. Oh, okay. I've obviously set that up as a NOTAM at some point, but let's pretend that's goal. So the point about having this optional waypoint is that it lets you navigate to it, but it won't be included in the IGC file in the C record, whichever one it is, so that your declared flight for the XC League will be valid as just a sort of a start and a finish. So that's pretty handy to have that. So that's showing you how to create a flight within FlySkyHy itself. How are we doing for time, by the way? Time is marching on. Let's just delete that. Again, that's still there. So you might want to do it in FlyXC. So let's just switch back to here. And whilst I remember, I'm just going to turn the live tracking off, put it to during flight. In time, that will get whited out as opposed to being red. So if you go to FlyXC, okay, so this has changed a bit recently, which has confused me a little bit. Let's turn on XC planning. Let's turn on airspaces, just so we can avoid airspaces. And let's turn on the airways, just so we can easily see where sites are. So let's do a quick triangle from Westbury, for example, and this is more or less what I did last year sometime. Out towards Mells, up towards Bath, or sort of somewhere around, yeah, somewhere around there, and then back to that's interesting. I'm not sure what these yellow lines, because I haven't done a closed flight. Now I've closed flight. Delete that waypoint there. So you can move your turn point anywhere within these sort of FAI arcs. That's a pretty nice one. So the easiest way to get this into FlySkyHy is just to do download, change it to format geo. There are other ones that work. GPX works, I know, but I just always use format geo. Don't worry about changing the prefix, no need to do that. And then just download. So that's now on my computer. The easiest way I find of transferring it to your phone is just using Telegram. So I just drag that into, now before I do that actually, oops, that's opened. I clicked on it, so it's opened it up in this text editor. This is all, there's nothing sort of terribly sophisticated about a waypoint file. It's just a little text file. I'll just close it again. Yes, Telegram lets you create channels, so which don't have to have any people in, or they can have millions of people, or just yourself effectively. Whereas you can't create a group without adding someone else in there. So channels are pretty useful. I've got one called Tim's Transfer Channel, and I just use it for transferring stuff between my phone and my computer. So here's the waypoints file I've just created, drag into Telegram, send. Let's go back up. Right. So now go into Telegram on the phone, boom, transfer channel. So it doesn't know quite what to do with it. If it was a text file or something, you'd probably be able to read it, but click the export or the share button, and then you try and find, yeah, FlySkyHy. So now you get the choice of add to the route, replace the route, or make a sort of folder of waypoints. Let's do it as a new waypoint group, just to do something different. So now if we go to the waypoint, I think we'll see that at the bottom. Waypoint 5, it's got 4 waypoints in. We want to now add that to the route. I should have prepared this. That's no, just click that, I think. Yeah, replace route. So now if we go back to the, whoops. Let's click out of that. Waypoints, and then go into the map, we can see we've got a triangle in there. Super easy. If we wanted to share that with other people on the hill, there's 2 ways of doing that. Go into your route, click the share button. So this is quite handy. You can just, someone can wave their other phone, and that's Android or another iPhone using FlySkyHy, they can just take a picture of that and it will load up. Or you can choose a file format here, so comp GPS, export, and fire it off to Telegram. And who's going to be my lucky recipient? Who's first on the list? Tom. And so he can then open that up in FlySkyHy or XCTrack. If you've created a route and you want to save it, like I've got tons of routes here, and you want, so I've got this nice triangle route and I want to actually sort of save this, you can click the folder and scroll down to the bottom, click new, and it's moved them into a folder down at the bottom. And so now I'll want to rename that. So you've got to be a bit careful. You don't want to slide too aggressively, otherwise you'll end up deleting it. Slide a little bit and then click rename and call it Westbury. And it was, what, I don't know, I can't remember what the distance was now. It's Westbury 70k, so just something so you can recognize what it is. Right, let's just delete that now, and the one above. So that, I think, covers most of everything I was going to talk about here. Importing, sharing, optional waypoints, saving routes. Yeah, I think that's it. FlySkyHy has a triangle assistant sort of built into it. So that's, I've just had a message from Tom saying, what the hell is this? He's obviously not on this call. He can wait for a reply. So yes, when you're flying and you're, well, let's give a little demo of this rather than just trying to explain it without a word. So this was a really nice sort of flight I had. When was it? It was, yeah, near rifle range, 4-hour flight. So do a replay. So you can just drag the little button along rather than pressing play because that is so slow. So I'm bimbling along. It's a beautiful day, no wind. There's nothing. Just there you see we've got two little triangles. So it's saying that, you know, I've traveled a certain distance now. It thinks it's worth sort of showing the possible triangle things. So that means I can either head north to get to fly into this one, or I can fly into this one, or obviously I can carry on. I don't have to do that straight away. But as I fly further, those areas are getting bigger and further away. So I keep on going. Let's zoom out a bit. Single tap to zoom out. So yeah, finally decided to turn, head into there. Now that I'm in that, it's sort of saying, well, where do I need to head to finish off the triangle? And it's put a circle there. Yeah, I don't know what the arcs are doing at this point because they've sort of moved. But yeah, now I'm in there and closing off. So it gives you a good idea. Oh, and actually what I should have shown you is that, and I'll do this, I'll just add some instruments in here. I need to stop that before I can. Let's just add a couple of instruments because there are the special triangle assistant instruments, which I don't normally bother with, but yeah, current triangle and possible triangle. So just wait a second for that to finish editing. yeah, so let's just quickly go back into that replay and just have a look at those instruments. So as I scroll along, it doesn't. Okay, so that's the sort of first point. It thinks, oh, a triangle's on, so it's saying, oh, I could do a 26K triangle from there if I started turning. Keep on going. Keep on going. Oh, it's jumped to 47. Keep on going. 77K triangle is the 89 is the maximum I could do. And then it sort of, yeah, I'm obviously going into the end cylinder. That's that arc is the sort of to finish off the triangle. So yeah, it tells you your potential triangle size. Quite a nice feature. I'm just going to get rid of those before I forget. Okay, so that is the triangle assistant. Okay, custom airspace. This is quite good. So if you'd normally use this, I think, for NOTAMs. So go to airspace.xcontest.org and you get this nice map. You choose your country that you're interested in looking at. UK. Turn off the airspace. I only want to see NOTAMs. And you can say, you can see on the map, which let's look at tomorrow's NOTAMs. And okay, there's not many. But let's say tomorrow was an epic day, southwesterly, we're going to fly from Milk Hill up towards Norfolk. So you can click on them, let's just zoom in, and you click on that little one and you say, well, what is it? It's flying of large model aircraft, right? I'm not interested in that one. And you just repeat this. That's searchlight display. Yeah, not bothered by that one. Let's just, yeah, danger area has been activated. So we want to have that in FlySkyHy. So I mean, these things here just affect what's shown on the map. It's not actually what's exported. So you just click the export button, and here is where you say what you want to actually have exported. So I want sort of paragliding relevant NOTAMs only. To be honest, I'm not sure what this hide alerts button does. I haven't played around with that much. I want it for tomorrow, so click that. I want it in open air format as opposed to XCTrack format. So the XCTrack format is if you want to put custom airspace into an XCTrack Max. It's a different format file. I want NOTAMs, and I don't want the main bulk of airspace, because FlySkyHy already has that in it. You don't need to redo that. Although if you wanted to, you can obviously include that. So export. That just produces a little text file. Now we don't want to. We could load all of that into FlySkyHy, but actually we're only interested in one of those. I'm just going to go back to the map. So we're looking for this one, D0145. So I'm going to just copy that, go into my notepad, find it. Yeah. So here it is. It's this section here. Now I could delete everything apart from this. That would be a bit, you know, if there were 2 or 3, that would be a bit of a pain to do. So I think the easiest way is just to copy that section. It's quite obvious these sections, when you're looking at airspace, you've got some comments at the beginning which are prefixed with a star. So you can have anything in there. That's just information. And then these are the actual details of it here. Airspace class is R, airspace name is D, blah, blah, blah. Airspace height, 7,000 feet, 7,500 feet. Airspace low point is ground, and then it's got the coordinates of it and the the radius, 5 nautical miles. So Control C to copy, and I like to use BB Edit just because it's a very basic text editor. You know, it won't save it as formatted text or anything, it's ASCII. Paste it in there. So if there were other ones we wanted to copy, you know, I'd just go and find them, do a search for them and copy them and paste them in, but we're only going to do this one. Save it, just call it NOTAM on my desktop, for example. Close that. So now I want to just transfer it to my phone again. So go into Telegram, my transfer channel, got my downloads here, export 3, just drag it in and send. So again, go into Telegram. Here it is, export.txt. So because it's a text file, you can actually, I sent the wrong one. I sent, yeah, this is the one that I saved. Yeah, let's try this one. NOTAM.txt, that's what I saved it as. So we can see that that's the one. It's only got the one NOTAM in there, one section of text. So again, FlySkyHy. This time, for some reason, FlySkyHy isn't appearing in the list of apps at the top level. So just scroll down and it's here, FlySkyHy. Import one airspaces from file, okay. So how do you know that whether it's in there? Well, let's just go into the settings. Go to airspaces, airspace sources, and let's just set it to the custom. Then we can go back to the map here. Let's just zoom out. Oh, that is fully zoomed out. Scroll over to here, and there you go. You can see it. Press and hold, and you can see it's class R, ground to 7,500 feet. So that is very easy to get airspace, to get NOTAMs into FlySkyHy. If you, once that, you know, in a week's time, that's out of date, don't worry about it. Just set it back to official. Then you've got it all back. When you're next going flying again, just repeat, just import it again, and it will overwrite what's already there as a custom airspace. So you wouldn't, when you're flying and you've got those NOTAMs in there, obviously you set it to both. You wouldn't just have it as official or as just custom. You'd have it as both, so you can see it there. It's that purple one. Okay, back to the notes. Let's just, yeah. You can see my live tracking's turned off now. It's not active anymore. It's not red. It's color coded. It's orange now, which means it hasn't been active for 15 minutes or something. Yeah, we've done that section. How are we doing for time? Oh, blimey, it's dragging on. Let's quick minute or two on comp setup. So the only changes I make if I'm flying a comp, I will edit these to forward and backward arrows. So I haven't touched on what these are. When you've got a route, these arrows let you go back to the previous, will navigate you back to the previous waypoint or navigate you onto the next one. So if I'm flying in the Alps and doing a Volbiv and not going anywhere in particular, but just trying to get as far as possible, I will create a route along the sort of to guide me. And I'll bung in, they'll have 400-meter waypoints, but I'm not that bothered about going into those waypoints. They're purely there to help me find my way. So when I get close, I'll just click the next waypoint button, and it will navigate me onto the next one. Clearly, if you're doing a competition, that's the last thing you're going to want to do is accidentally jump to the next waypoint. So I just swap these ones to different instruments. So I'll just delete that, and I will just put where's yeah, speed to start and time to start. Oh, I missed it again. Yeah.
Tim, this is Simon. We've lost your screen.
Oh, sorry. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so what I was saying was in the bottom left and bottom right of this screen, I had next waypoint and previous waypoint. And as I said, they're a bit redundant in a competition. You don't want to accidentally press them. So yes, down on the left-hand side, bottom left, I've got speed to start. And then I've got, on the bottom right, time to start. So that will tell me that, when the speed will initially be really slow. It will say you've got to fly like 3 kilometers an hour in order to get to the start at the right time. As it gets closer to the start window, then obviously if you're a kilometer away, then by the time if you're a minute to the start and you're a kilometer away, it's going to say you're going to need to fly at 60 kilometers an hour to get there in time. So you've blown that start. But it helps you as a speed. It will go from 10 to 20 to 30 to 40. So when it says 40, right, bang, you can pretty much go. And as long as you keep your speed just fractionally below 40, you will arrive at the goal, cylinder start line, bang on time. And also you've got the time to start, which will give you a little countdown timer. So like, 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2. So that's all I do for CompFly. I'm just gonna I'll put those back later. The other thing, the final glide, things I use for final glide are basically up here. I assume you can see the mouse when I move it. Glide ratio and glide ratio to goal. So as long as your glide ratio is reading higher than your glide to goal, assuming nothing changes, like you don't suddenly encounter a headwind, then you should make it. I've also got 2 other instruments down here, which I mentioned before, but arrival height above next and arrival height above goal. They're pretty useful if you're doing a declared goal flight in the UK, but they're obviously useful in a competition as well. So as long as you've got a positive height above goal or above the next turn point, you're going to make it. So that was all I was going to cover there. Sharing flights. We've seen replaying a flight. There are other nice little things here. You can show a graph. If you tilt that on the phone on its side, you can get a better view of that. And then you can zoom in and just have a bit of fun. You can export a flight to Google Earth. If you've got Google Earth installed on your phone. I'm not going to actually do it, but it's always fun to do that. You can upload to XContest directly from here. So you just assume you've got it all set up with your XContest sort of username and password. You just send it. You can to export it to the UK League is very straightforward now, because in the Files app, if you go to Browse, I'll just start at the sort of top level. On my phone, you see a folder called FlySkyHy. So this is where all your flights are saved, all the IGC files. And if you've created an XML file, a KML file, sorry, a Google Earth file, you'll see it in here as well. And if you want to add an IGC file that you didn't didn't record in FlySkyHy, maybe you didn't have your phone with you, but you had it on your XCTracer or whatever, then you can just copy it into this folder, and lo and behold, it will be, you'll see it in FlySkyHy. And I've done that with some like the Dragon one here is like a combined the whole Dragon Hike and Fly comp. But so in the XC League, go to the XC League website in Safari, and when you come to the bit where you choose your file, it sort of brings up that interface like you effectively this. So you choose, you go into on my phone into FlySkyHy, and then you just choose the your latest IGC file that you want to upload. So it's very easy to do. Yeah, if you ever wanted to back up and all your flights from FlySkyHy onto your computer, the easiest way, I think, you can press and hold on FlySkyHy, and you can just do copy, and then you go to iCloud Drive or Dropbox or whatever you've got that you've also got on your computer, and you just paste it into there, and then it will copy them all into the cloud and then onto your computer. So yeah, get to know how the Files app works. It's pretty useful. Very quickly now. So yes, miscellaneous tips. So yeah, if you've got a new phone, there's every chance that it might have a different screen resolution, and if you do the normal sort of setting up a new phone from an iCloud backup, which is the way most people do it, all your flights and everything will get copied across. There's no worries about that. But your screens may not, just because of the different resolution. So it's always worth just taking a screenshot of your screens beforehand, so that you're not having to struggle to remember what how you had it set up. And you may have to adjust them slightly. You may have more space. So yeah, worthwhile doing that. As I say, back up your flights using the File app. Stylus. I use a stylus. I don't bother with having your capacitive touchscreen gloves. It's normally so cold that you need skiing gloves anyway. So the stylus works very well, and they're like £2 for about 10 of them off eBay. Oh yes, make sure your phone is not in power save mode. So we've got this, you may or may not have this in your control center, but I tend to use power save mode quite a lot, and especially if I'm driving to a site. I'm not actually flying, but I'm driving. I just want to keep the battery usage as low as possible. I'll often have it on battery save mode. And the thing about battery save mode is if I was flying and I had a phone call, or I wanted to text someone, in Telegram or whatever the reason is, FlySkyHy then goes into the background, and I'm pretty sure that it will stop recording the IGC file. There'll be a break in it until it comes back to the foreground. So you want to have power, not in power save mode, basically, because that way you can switch to another app, you can make a phone call, do whatever, and you know that FlySkyHy is running perfectly in the background. If you want to save battery, yeah, turn Wi-Fi off when you're flying. You don't need it. It's just using extra battery. Mounting your phone on your flight deck. I've got my phone in a little gel case, and I just have another one of these permanently attached to my flight deck. So I just take it out of this one and just slip it into the other one. And that's Velcroed, and that's plenty sturdy enough, I found. Other people are talking about different, like cycling mounts. There's one called, I can't remember what it's called, cross mount or something like that. But cheap and cheerful works for me. Finally, there is a FlySkyHy Telegram group, which anyone is welcome to join.
Tim, Ken here.
Hello, Ken. And that was it, yeah.
I use one of these for power. I have Velcro on the back of it, and then I slide the phone in there.
Oh yeah. So you've got an external, yeah, a battery case.
A battery case, yeah. And I've been using it for years, and it's absolutely brilliant. And then the problem is, if you had a bad landing, it could fall out. So I have a little carabiner, and then I've got some tape. What do you call it? Spinnaker tape stuck on the back with a little hole in, burnt in with a hot wire, and then I just clip that into a little lanyard. So if basically I had a bad landing, you could have the phone call or some rough air or something.
Yeah.
You could lose the phone.
Yeah.
So that's the only way I found you can slide it into a battery mount, because that's very, very thin, but it's also very, very strong. I don't know.
Yeah, good tip. I have an external anchor battery pack, which is velcroed onto my flight deck. But yeah, having there's probably more power in those. You know, in an external battery pack. I've got 10,000 milliamp hours, which is tons. Yeah, yours will be less than that, but it's still it's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it'll work for normal XC flights.
Yeah. I mean, I've landed after 5 hours with a full battery. I carry 2 of them now, so.
Cool. Thanks, Ken.
I will mute myself. I will shut myself up.
Back into your hole. Right. Sorry, Tim Bish. I've overrun. Are there any questions that people have that that I haven't covered?
Just a quick one from me. Don't worry about the timings, because I think my bit's going to be somewhat shorter than yours anyway. It's probably going to be a kind of a spot the same feature in my world type thing.
Yeah.
Just a quick question about Bluetooth. Have you ever had any problems connecting to external instruments with Bluetooth? And the reason I'm asking is that XCTrack is it might be just my phone, but mine is sometimes a wee bit flaky.
No, it's super easy. Well, yeah, when you are connecting a Blue Fly Varia or XCTracer or whatever, you don't do the pairing. You don't go into your sort of you don't go into the settings app Bluetooth and try and pair it there.
Yeah, that's the biggest trick that I found on mine to make it work.
You go into the settings and wrong one, Vario, and it's at this point here when you choose XCTracer, then it will do the pairing. You've got to have your XCTracer on at that point. So yes, it's I think with iPhones, because it's a sort of closed ecosystem, the Bluetooth is a bit more reliable.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. It may well just be my crappy old phone being flaky, because I use a very old phone that I don't mind trashing if I land badly or something.
Cool. Any other questions?
Tim, I've got a quick question. I'm sure it'll be very quick for you, but it's driven me to distraction. Is on following a route. Sorry, it's Dave. Should say Dave now.
Yeah, I
you're following a route, and part way down the route, you find that the sky is better in a different direction, so you want to just skip the next point. How do you do that, please?
Well, that's what I was talking about. On this screen here, I just need to put those instruments back in. I'll do that right now. So I'll add the previous back to last point and next route point. Oops, no, that's the wrong one. Oh yeah, nice. I'm going mad. I can't see it. Right to next. I just did it with the back to the last one. I must be going. If anyone sees it, shout.
What is it you're looking for?
It's the next waypoint, but it's not. It's not.
Next route point under waypoint elements there?
No, it's not. It's not that one. All right. Back. Oh yeah, skip next point. There we go. So yes, Dave, you just click the back or the skip arrow, and that will skip you onto the next one.
Thanks a lot. That was driving me mad.
And it is possible. I mean, I've changed routes in during mid-flight and because I've decided to change my goal. Like there was a flight a couple of years ago. I was going to go to McClinleth, and then I thought, nah, let's go to Aberystwyth. And so mid-flight, yeah, basically you go into your waypoints, and I just blatted my current route, and then I went onto the map and scrolled around until I could see where I wanted, and then just like click there, and then did that, and then
right.
that is now my new route.
Thanks.
I have asked Rene if he can change this map so that you can zoom in and zoom out using the stylus with a tap and a double tap, like you can on the normal screen, because otherwise, well, you can't. You can do a double tap to zoom in, but you might have it too zoomed in, and then there's no way of zooming out again. So he just needs to put some map controls on there, or else let you do a double tap and a single tap. So that would be quite useful. Okay, thanks, Dave. Any other questions?
Just one from me, please. Hello, if you can hear me.
Yes,
yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Hi, this is Rene from Weymouth, and not Rene the tech guy with all the money. Just quick question. Now that I've got my tracer with a FLAM built in and what have you, in order to try and save battery power, can I just directly leave it plugged in via the USB into my phone, or does it have to be Bluetooth?
Do you mean plug the XCTracer into the phone?
Yeah, and leave it plugged in so to save battery power.
You've got the Max, haven't you? So that is it the Max?
No, I've got the Mark III or whatever you sent me with a FLAM built in.
Yeah, so that's solar powered. It'll be fine. It'll last all season without charging it.
No, I realise that will, but the Bluetooth side of the phone, which obviously connects to save the phone power.
Oh, just connect it to an external battery and forget about it. It's not worth trying to save battery.
Right. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yeah, they're cheapest chips off Amazon. The Anchor ones are very good.
Right. Point noted. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
No worries. Any other questions? No. Well, I think that's it. Thank everyone for their attendance. I hope it was a bit dry. Obviously, the subject matter is not that exciting, but hopefully you all stayed awake, including Ken. And over to Tim Bish now.
I suppose that's over to me, isn't it? Yeah, if you stop sharing.
Stop sharing. Oh, blimey, all those people have suddenly appeared.
I know, it's terrifying, isn't it? I'm going to try and share my screen.
Stop recording.
So if I do this, hopefully everybody can see a white iPhone-y type thing. Can we see that? Can you see that, Tim?
Yep, I can see it.
Excellent. Good. Right. Okay. Evening, everybody. Tim Bishop here. They told me when I was doing officer training in the Royal Navy never to start with an apology, but I am going to start with an apology, and that is, compared to Tim Pentreath, I'm a rubbish pilot. I've done a few poxy little cross countries here and there, but I'm not a sky deity or even close to a sky god. I'm a weekend warrior and I'm a bit of a nerd, so I like to play around with kit, hence me having a degree of knowledge about XCTrack. So my agenda is very similar. Basic operation, some settings, how to get maps and airspace, connecting to external stuff, the XCTrack version of the auto start and stop. I've copied your agenda, Tim. Quick bit on routes and waypoints. In fact, while you were talking there, I discovered the feature in XCTrack where you can dump waypoints straight onto the screen. I didn't think it was possible, but I found it. Navigation modes, airspace, and a wee bit about sharing. So please jump in with any questions. I don't think I can see the chat, so I'm relying on other people to shout at me if needs be. So let's dive straight in. The first thing to say is that it's extremely similar to FlySkyHy, and in fact you can see where the two things are copying from themselves. What you're seeing on the screen at the moment is me playing back one of my flights. I put it on there because I wanted it to look sort of impressive, otherwise you just get a blank screen. There's a few things on there that you can see already. The little snail trail there is showing us the areas of lift in green. That's customizable. Down the left hand side you've got a Vario bar which is coming in and out. I'm connected to an XCTracer while I was doing this flight, and that's me just about going past the top of the White Horse at Westbury there. I'm using a black theme. I don't know if FlySkyHy allows you to change your themes. It probably does. But I use a black theme on here because I'm using an old Sony Xperia Z5 Compact, which doesn't have a brilliant battery, and I find it saves the battery a lot. You can see a little airspace warning has just popped up there because I was pointing towards the danger area. And then top of the screen, I've got a little wind indication there. So I'm going to stop the recording now, stop the playback, and we'll go through a few of the key concepts here. So it's very, very similar to FlySkyHy. You've got as many pages as you want, and you slide sideways between them. I've got 2 or 3 main ones set up here. You can have as many as you want. And then for each page, if you drag downwards, you can get into the customization bit. I noticed that FlySkyHy tends to call them instruments. They're called widgets here. So you can go into each widget and configure it. So that's my Vario widget, and I can go into the settings for it. Just a quick one while I'm in here. If I go over to the other one, here's one that I discovered during the bit about FlySkyHy. If I go into my map screen, I can add in there a little map zoom jobber, wherever it's gone, boom, and you can dump it in there, and that will zoom in for me quite nicely. And yeah, you can put another one on there and reconfigure that and get a zoom in as well, and a zoom out. Okay, what else have we got? Yeah, if you haven't got those buttons on there, you can zoom in by swiping up, and it puts it into a different mode. Click your back button on your phone, takes you out, and you can just do a manual zoom in here. It's all pretty straightforward. What else have we got? Okay, let's have a look at settings. So drag down and you get your settings bit at the top. We've got preference, we've got navigation, track logs, and customization is for setting up your screens. If I go into preferences here, it's pretty, in fact, probably the main reason why I changed from using XCSAW to XCTrack was just the incredible ease of this bit of the interface, and also getting the airspace and the map in there. You can see in the menu here, we've got airspace and we've got maps. So I'm just going to go into airspace. Simplest thing is choose your country. So let's choose the most important country in the world. We'll go for Norway. And then we'll have some, we'll go back the way, and that will sit there and upload happily. And then the same thing with maps as well. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Okay, we've got a big problem here. Yeah, look, the United Kingdom is listed under Europe. So we need to sort that one out. Then what else have we got under the settings? Yeah, your theme is in here. So one of the default themes is this, which is the white theme. And that's what it looks like as normal. So it's quite nice, but of course, because it's painting the whole screen white, it just destroys the battery. So I'm going to go back over to the preferences, display, theme. Now go back to the black. Is there a question from somebody? Okay. While we're in here, let's see what else we can do. You've got your language in there and your units as well. So it's pretty easy to set those up from there. What else have we got? Units we've got. Yeah, external sensors are in here as well. So let's start from the start again. So we swipe down, preferences, and then we've got connections and sensors there. So this is where I'm configuring it. I'm using an XCTrack Max, so it's set up in there. This is basically exactly the same settings that you've got within FlySkyHy, because you've got using or not using external GPS and internal versus external barometer. You can see I just use external everything here because it's easier. You can set up the Vario as well. What's the next one? Right, I'm going to try a little experiment now. So I've got Bluetooth switched on my phone, which you can probably see when I do that. And then I'm going to power up my XCTrack and see if it connects automatically. See what happens. I think it probably won't connect because it's really, really mercurial. XCTrack is just starting up. Okay, so the XCTrack is powered up now. And what I'm expecting is to get a little banner across the top of the screen saying Bluetooth connected. If I don't get that, I'll go through the steps that I'll normally take to get it working. Let's give it a couple of moments. Right, it's officially grumpy, so I'm going to kill XCTrack. Blah, 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 that's fine. And I go into the Bluetooth settings for the phone. And it's thinking. What I'm looking for is for it to discover the XCTrack. There we go. You can see there's a line in there which is XCT. I'm not going to take that any further. As Tim was saying, you don't actually do the pairing. So I'm just going to go back to my home screen. Now, all being well, because they've handshaked or shaken, whichever the term is, it should, in theory, pick up the XCTrack now. Now, there we go, Bluetooth connected. And that's because I forced the phone to go and search for it. And that's something that I find that I need to do relatively often. I think it's one of the weak points of Android. But all being well, if I lift up my Vario now, let's have a look. That's down, and there we go. There's a wee bit of. You can see it's actually taking the signal straight through. Right, let's power that down. There we go. So that's the Bluetooth connection. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, auto start and auto stop we were talking about as well. That is under preferences. And then we've got a nice bit in here called automatic actions. So pretty straightforward in here. You can do manual or automatic landing. I tend to just have mine switched to the defaults in here. And very straightforward in there. Let's see what else we've got. Oh, loads of stuff you can edit in here. I don't play around with these. There's just no point. When I start looking around in there, I must be really bored. Okay, that's your auto start and stop. Right, routes and waypoints then. This is fun. One of the things I don't like about XCTrack is that its sort of user interface around the navigation and the waypoints is not brilliant. Because you go in there and the first thing you see is this. And to my eye, when I see that, I'm thinking, right, I'm going to either configure a back to takeoff thing, or I'm going to make a triangle thing, or I'm going to make a waypoint route or make a competition task. But it's really not doing that at all. So if we go into a competition task, it's showing you the details of a task. And then you can really just do a couple of things with it. You can either edit the task or you can start flying it like this. And then when you go back, off you go, and it's automatically thinking that you're starting to fly that. So the way that you get routes into this is almost exactly the same as Tim was demonstrating in FlySkyHy. And the simplest thing is just to use this. So you can scan it straight off the screen. In fact, you don't even need to take a picture. This will, in fact, if I do this, it will probably fire up the camera. There you go. Look, it's tried to fire up the camera now. The other thing that this one does, and I'm not sure if FlySkyHy does this, is that if you've got a task on here, you can then share it with other people, but it also does NFC. So when you're in this mode, you put the phone back to back with another one, and it will transfer it using similar technology to the Apple Pay and Google Pay. I haven't ever used that, but I must play with it at some stage. In fact, I have got another device here. I could potentially see if it works. So once you're in here, there's a few things you can do. You're in edit mode. You can go in and start setting up details of each of your waypoints. Again, this is not a brilliant UI. You have to go and start choosing waypoints in here. The other thing you can do is, let me get this right. You can add turn points manually in there. Sort of like it, sort of don't. And you can then sort of, once, it takes you a while to find this bit, but you have to go digging all the way in here to find your waypoints. And then from there, you can manually start creating waypoints. Why you would ever type that in, I do not know. So instead of that, what you can do is upload them from a file, which I believe is not there, but you can upload, hang on, it was back in there, wasn't it? Dink. Waypoint files. So you can go into the XC Planner, put a few waypoints in there, and like Tim was showing you, modify the file and just put it in the right place on the phone and it will pick it up. Or, as I've just discovered, what you can do, if we go to one of the navigation panes, and let me see if I can get this right. If I put it into the moving around mode, then I hold here, then boom, I can create a new waypoint from there. It'll also allow me to navigate straight to a point on the map from there as well. That's the thing I learned today. What else do we need to know about routes? The triangles. One day I will fly a triangle, probably in about 15 years' time. If you go into that part and you go to triangle closing, it just kind of assumes that you're going to do it. And I haven't flown this. I can only assume it works in the same way as the as FlySkyHy does. But when I get good enough to fly triangles, I'll report back to you all. Yeah, I just had a quick play around with your NOTAM thing there as well, Tim, and that works reasonably well. I did it all on another phone, but it's very straightforward because you basically fire up your web browser, go and find the file, dump it straight into the phone's memory, and then move it into the right place. And then you go into preferences, you go to airspace, and you go to files. And if you put the file into, as it says there, XCTrack /airspaces, it will then, you then tick it on the list there, and it displays everything nicely on the screen for you. So it's another thing I've picked up tonight. It's very easy. Yeah, when it comes to airspace, if we go back over to, I should probably take it out of its navigation mode. Let's do a bit of that instead. Okay, right. So if I now drag this around, one of the nice things it's doing is it's showing me the details of any piece of airspace. As the little crosshair in the center goes over it, you can see. So for example, this one is now showing me the details of the Salisbury Plain danger areas. And if I particularly wanted to, I can zoom out a long way and go and look at, what's that? That's Bristol airspace, isn't it? Ground to 10,500 feet. So you can just scroll around to interrogate the airspace. One of the other things that if I start flying cross country properly, I might do is set up another page on here. So I can go preferences. Where are we? Pages layouts. Chuck another one in. Make it just an XC assist. Then for each of these, you can go into it, and you've got a bunch of icons across the bottom there. And what they're doing is saying, in which mode of flight is this page gonna be used? So it's kind of a common thing between both of these. These flight computers assume that you have 2 or 3 main modes of flight. You've either got your normal soaring stuff, you've got a thermaling mode, and it detects that by you doing rough 360s. and then you've got like an XC or a comp mode. And those icons across the bottom there, they allow you to go in here, make a new page, and say, right, please pop this page into action automatically when you've detected that I'm thermally. So this one is going to be, what's that? Just bog standard stuff. Then what I can do is go to that page, and where's it gone? Did I actually save that? Let's try that again. Anyway, I'll do it on this one. But what you can do is you can go to the page, take all the widgets off it like this, create a nice big space, bye-bye widgets, boom, like this. Make this one nice and big to fill the whole screen. And now we've got a nice page that I can use for scrolling around. I can't imagine I would do this in flight. I'd have to be in a really great place to have the time and mental capacity to start scrolling and looking about where I'm going to get my ice cream from, but maybe the day will come. So that's just a demonstration of how easy it is to set that one up. What have we got next? I think that's about it, actually. I think that's all the sort of core features on XCTrack. It's remarkably similar. In terms of screen layout, the one that you're seeing there, I'll set my replay going again. Boom, boom, in here. And I'm just going to scroll the replay forward a wee bit. Yeah, that's a pretty standard sort of soaring layout that I use there. It's the sort of information I like to use in flight. Wind rose in the middle, wind speed underneath. I tend to use kilometers because I think in terms of the speeds for the glider in kilometers. Yeah, that's really about it, I think. Oh, there is a horizontal display as well on here. Let me see if I can find that for you. So that's me putting another widget on. I'll make a bit of space. Just got to remember what it's called. No, wrong one. Add widget. What was it called? Side view, I think, wasn't it? Boom. Move it down the way. Come on. Come on. No, you go up there. You come down here. And I've tragically broken other parts of my display. But that's going to be roughly right now. And there you can see it's doing a very similar thing to the way FlySkyHy is doing it. It's showing you a side view of airspace and terrain and everything. And if my memory serves me right, that little white line that popped up there at an angle is your predicted glide. What else have we got? I think that's about it. Any questions?
Tim, I have a question. I've downloaded my map onto there. However, it looks like a very grey terrain map style.
Yeah, if I change my theme, you'll see that. I personally think the mapping isn't that brilliant. It does claim to be able to display things like cities and roads and stuff, but it's a bit rubbish. If I change my theme, you'll probably see that I end up with my maps looking very similar to yours. Is it something like that?
Yeah, that's it.
It's just a bit anemic, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't really very useful. Okay, so it's a theme thing. Oh, I see. I thought I downloaded the wrong map.
No, you've almost certainly got the right map on there. It's not that rubbish. You can see what's going on at Westbury, sort of.
Yeah, that looks better.
But it's not a masterpiece of cartography, is it, really? Yeah, I would recommend that you mess around with the settings in there. You can change an awful lot of the way that things are displayed in there. So just have a good old rummage around and play with it.
Tim, somebody's posting a question at the bottom and they're saying that there are some road maps that you can download to give you all the detail. That would be great.
Shall I see if I can find them in here?
So somebody at the bottom was just putting in chat that you need.
Yeah, because I'm sharing the screen. I can't see that, unfortunately.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, you can get road maps.
Right. I wonder if I can do it through this interface. Should we have a look?
Yeah,
Maps,
Lester, I can see. Yeah.
Road map. Ooh, we like. Ooh, that's posh, isn't it? Should we see what
Aren't you
happens?
glad you came to the talk, Tim?
I've learnt about 4 things tonight. It's ace. Okay. As they would say in Trowbridge, I ain't seeing no roads here.
So, Tim,
go on.
Can you hear me?
I can. You're loud and clear. Transmit.
If you go into the widget.
Oh, right, for the map.
Yeah.
Right. Blah blah.
Okay, and you
configure widget.
And now you go in. If you go into now.
Map configuration.
Map configuration. You
display
should display roadmap. Then it should show.
Interesting. I've got that switched on. Wow, there's too many configurations in here. This is an interesting one as well. The whole thing about postponing airspace, and you can set all sorts of timers for your warnings when you're approaching airspace as well. So just have a good rummage around in there. Any more questions, please? That's a lightning fast run through. You know, I think this is a bit of personal opinion here, but I think the features. Yeah, hi.
It's Ross. On the roadmap thing, if you get rid of the XC map, the task map, and you choose XC map, you'll be able to see the roads then.
Do you mean the? So if I kill that widget.
Yeah.
And if I put a new one in called.
XC map rather than task map, I think.
Ah, nice. Let's have a look. Am I about to see some beautiful mapping?
I'm hoping so. It doesn't look like it over a minute, but maybe.
I would just like to publicly declare that if this doesn't work, it's entirely your fault. Is that okay?
That's fine. It works for
right,
me.
let's configure that. Map configuration. Roads are on. Back there. Let's have a look. Ooh, we've got contour lines. Let's have a look. Ooh. Let's have a look. It's not brilliant.
Tim, I think you need to download the maps from source.
Yeah, yeah. I need to download some better mapping on here. But at least I know there's 2 different types of maps. More questions, please.
Tim, do you have the Pro version?
No, I don't. Do you get lots of other lovely toys for buying Pro thing?
I don't know. That's what I was going to ask you.
I've seen the icons there, and I thought to myself, well, it's doing everything I need anyway, so I can't be bothered.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think, given that the feature set on these they're so very close in terms of their functionality, I would be so bold as to suggest that the main choice between the 2 of them is really, what is your flying phone? You know, I use XCTrack because my flying phone is this old Z5 compact, and it's the one that I've got, and I don't mind if it gets a cracked screen or whatever, so I use Android. If I had an iPhone lying around, I would probably use FlySkyHy, and I think it's really your choice of hardware that is the determining factor. Any more questions or thoughts?
XCTrack will run on an older phone as well. I can run it on my old Samsung S3, whereas FlySkyHy won't run on an old iPhone like 4.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because I went over to the Z5 Compact. I'd been running it on an old S4 Active that I'd had since about 2010, I think. And that was a great little phone. The only thing that annoyed me about it was that when I plugged it into a battery pack and it got to 100% charge, the operating system had a banner that came down and said 100% charge, and there was just no way I could get rid of it. I went through all the configs and everything, so I had to resize the entire display of XCTrack so that that banner wouldn't go over it. So I ended up ditching that one, but it ran beautifully on it, and it didn't even particularly destroy the battery. So, Any other points or questions?
Can I ask you a question about waypoint radiuses?
Yes, you can configure those in here. I just need to find the place where you do it.
Is there a way of doing it by default? They seem to default to whole kilometers.
Yeah, this is another less than brilliant bit of the UI, I'm afraid. So if you go in here and look at one, in fact, Can I edit it? Let's do it.
Yeah, I know about editing them. It's just that they're all either 0 kilometers or whole numbers of kilometers, and usually 1 to 400 meter one.
Well, if you, I wonder if, let me think. Yeah, so this is the bit that I don't like. So you choose your kilometers here, and then you choose your meters. So if I want that one that's 1.5 kilometers, I'll go boom, and then I have to choose 500, which is okay. It works, but it's ferociously ugly, and it's not really very intuitive at all.
No. Yeah, so we're stuck with that. Okay, thanks. That's okay.
You know, I think in practical terms, it's a bit of a glib answer, but in practical terms, I'm always going to be operating with waypoints through my MacBook or through the iMac. I wouldn't create the data on the phone because it's just too fiddly. I'd rather just use the right tool for it, and like Tim was doing there, edit the file and then just chuck it straight onto the phone. It's much easier.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Any other points? Well, look, I'm still scraping. This was me about 3 meters off the ground, I think, trying to dodge the bushes.
I wanted to explain the roadmap thing, if you wanted.
Yeah, please do. Talk me through it.
Yeah, you have to go back to the preferences,
maps,
roadmap,
and
you see at the bottom there's a link. You open that link. And,
trying it.
Yep. And at the top, open Android Maps, download maps from another link. And from here, you select your region, download the roadmap, and then extract the file to the XCTrack.
This is all a bit clever, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I've just downloaded Germany. Whoops. How do I get... can I do that? Can I do that? This is a bit... Okay, I will do that in slow time later, but I get the point. Thank you for that.
Yeah, yep.
That's very useful. Thank you. Okay, let's go back to where we were. Dink, dink. And we're back at Westbury again. Any more points? See, I told you my bit was going to be faster, didn't I?
It might have been faster for you, but I still haven't found my XC tracer with my phone.
Oh, really? Have you tried turning the XC tracer off and then on again?
I even tried shouting at it.
Yeah, that's guaranteed not to work.
So I've got a thing come up on my phone on the notifications board that actually says XCTrack GPS OK.
That would presumably imply that you paired the phone with the XC tracer. If you go into the UI from the phone, like that, it's usually split into 2 sections. You can see the top half of that is the paired devices, and the other ones are the ones that it can see, but it's not got paired. It's important that it's critical that you check that you haven't actually completed a pairing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. So in the paired devices, it does not appear. In the available devices, it does appear.
Okay, that's interesting. And is XCTrack still not seeing it?
Right. So should I happen to press on it, which I just have, it says go to Devices app to pair with it. So obviously that will be.
And just ignore that. But let me go into the settings in here, and I will show you the settings that I'm using for the Dink. Yeah, that's the setting that I'm using to tell it to find the XC tracer. And I seem to remember that's the only setting that it needs. Yeah, that's the only one it needs.
So we're going preferences.
Yeah, preferences. Then you are connections and sensors down at the bottom there.
Yep.
And then external sensor, that one.
Right, it's not there. It says Bluetooth sensor, and then there is no information as in the.
And that's exactly the same as mine. If I power up my XC tracer now, which I'm just doing, you'll hear it go beep. It's like the season started again, isn't it? I can feel my heart fluttering. Yeah, so we're going to see if the okay, XCTrack is just powered up. And let's see if the phone wants to find it. Bluetooth. Yeah, it doesn't like the fact that it's just appeared. So I'm going to turn the Bluetooth off, force it to run a search by turning it on again. It's found it. It's got XCT, and that's it. I'm not going to do anything else in there. Let's go back over to XCTrack. And in fact, yeah, it's just found it now. If I now go into the preferences, I'm not expecting that page to look any different. Okay, yeah. So it's got, you can see here, it's got the listing of it, and it's got what I presume is its MAC address there, or its Bluetooth unique ID address. Right. Does that make any sense?
It makes perfect sense. I've just done exactly the same as you. And
the tone of your voice tells me that it wasn't successful.
No, it was absolutely not successful. I have to say that FlySkyHy on my other device, and I'm trying to work at the moment which device I prefer, found it immediately. But I
think is a weakness of the platform. Yeah, I'd love to say that there's a magic thing that makes it work every time, but the only thing I've found that makes it work most of the time is by cycling either the app or turning it off Bluetooth and back on again. And sometimes I'll just get grumpy with it, and in a fit of pique, I'll just restart the phone, and that usually works. Oh, look, I'm going around to Bratton. Why did I do that? I think this is where I bombed out, because I went to Bratton and I lost it. You're probably just about to see me land, I think.
Super. Anyway, thank you. I shall keep playing with this and then make an informed decision.
Yeah, yeah. Any more questions? Any more for me?
Hi there, Tim.
Hi.
First off, thank you very much for that. Very informative. Before today's call, I literally just had a blank screen on my XCTrack and didn't even know how to connect it. So very useful. I actually spoke with you about buying your used XCTrack 2 off you, but then I missed it.
I do apologize.
Got one in the end. Got one in the end.
Good. Good.
I do have one question though. Is when you were not in playback mode here, in the top left, there was like a satellite dish with an exclamation mark. And I've got that on my phone. Is that something to worry about? Does it mean anything?
Yeah, that is the phone telling me that it doesn't have a GPS signal.
Right. Okay. Is that because it deactivates itself when you put on external sensor?
No, it's because I'm sitting inside my house, and if I look at my XCTracer, the GPS icon on there is flashing, telling me it hasn't got a signal. If I were to go into my garden right now, which I'm not going to do because it's quite cold, then after a couple of moments that would disappear, and I think it goes into a little green "I'm okay" icon.
Okay, perfect, cool, thank you.
Yeah, but it's nothing to worry about. And the E there, I don't know what that means. I can only guess that it's telling me about the quality of my network, my GSM network connection or something.
Okay, cool. I've got an E as well.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Any more points?
Tim, I just followed everyone's advice for doing the open Android maps, and I can only find Wales, the Lake District, and Scotland.
And your problem is?
Yeah.
Those are the best parts of the UK by far.
No, you're definitely right. So I've successfully found Wales, but yeah, I can't find England.
Well, I would suggest that the spirits of paragliding are sending you a clear message there. Go to the mountains and fly.
Yeah, go to a much better place.
yeah. Go to Wales, fly there, or go to Scotland. It's as easy as that. Any more points? In that case, I'm going to stop sharing.
So I've just unmuted myself. This is James Bell speaking. The map you're looking for is called Great Britain. Of course.
Naturally. Let me see if I can get that to work. Now I've stopped sharing. Let's have a look. And is it under the roadmap section?
Well, you've got to download it first. But if you select, it's a massive map file called Great Britain. So it does take a little while to download.
Okay. It's probably best done on a device with a slightly larger screen. But it's from Open Android Maps, is it?
Yes, I think it was.
Okay.
Thanks, James. Yeah, I was looking under UK, not Great Britain.
I did exactly the same.
Yeah, I forget that we're great.
Okay, are we under Europe on this thing? Oh, hang on. Alps, blah, 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 Denmark. Great Britain, including Northern Ireland. Is that the one?
Sounds it.
1096. Let's see what happens. Yeah, continue. Yes. Downloading file. You probably can't see my screen anymore. Shall I reshare my screen? Hang on, let me see if I can share that again. Boom. You can probably see it again now. Something should be happening. I see what you mean. It's taking a moment to download, isn't it? Oh, goodness me. 1.7 gigs. Anyway, any more questions while that file comes in?
Yeah, Tim?
Yes.
Yeah, hi. Ken Wilkins here. Yeah. I've been using XC. I've got a backup phone, and I've got XCTrack on. It's an Android backup Android phone. I normally use FlySkyHy, but I can't get out of this screen. I mean, this sounds so basic. It is so basic.
Hold it up. Hold it a bit closer. Oh yeah, press the back button on your device, bottom left.
Yeah, and I get that.
So that. Okay, press back again.
And then display?
Yeah, press back and you'll get back to the home screen.
Oh, that's better.
Boom, there we are. Any questions, Ken? Next time we do a club meeting, you buy me a pint for that, mate.
How do I go forward then? How do I go forward?
You hit the right bit of the interface. I'm on 200 megs of 1.07. This is monstrous.
I got it. Oh, yes, I've got. I can scroll through now. Sorry about that. That was so.
That's all right. This is one of the UX weaknesses of the Android paradigm. It mixes up the hardware back button with the concept of back within apps. It's very annoying.
Right. Okay. And how do I zoom in and out? That's again, it's one of these funny things.
Oh, zooming in and out. Let me show you again on mine. So if I go back over to here. So the zooming in and out is all down to the configuration of the widget. So if I show you this page,
yes,
you can see this is a page that's got basically one huge widget on it, which is a map. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
If all you've got is the map widget, it's quite annoying because left and right changes pages like this.
Now, what do you mean left and right? Swiping left and right?
I've got my finger in the center of the screen.
Yeah.
If I swipe left and right, just like you do on Tinder, don't you, Ken?
Yeah, go on.
Then that just changes pages. If I pull down, it takes me to the settings. But if you then go up the way, it changes the mode. So
it goes
back button takes you to normal. Up takes you into the scrolling and panning and zooming mode. But I don't like that. I think that's pants. So what I'm going to do is fix it. If you look at my sharing, can you see that, Ken?
Yeah.
So I'm going to put a couple of widgets on there, and they're going to be called Map Zoom. Boom. We'll have one of them there.
Okay, so I just drag down from the top.
Yeah, and then you go. Hang on. Add another one. I mean, this is typical Android, isn't it? You just have to roll your own. It's a total hippie encampment. So we go that one. Configure that one to make it a zoom out. Boom. Boom.
Oh, really?
And now I have a page which is much easier. In fact, I've only just discovered this tonight. I'll probably change my default settings so that I can do that. And if I actually ever manage to go over the back, that'll be quite useful.
Yeah, okay. Right, okay. I will try and have that on. You keep that on the map as it's shown now.
Yeah, I'll probably do that. Yeah, it'll probably be quite useful because I'd be like Tim was talking about using a stylus. It's going to be easier to hit that with a stylus than try and do some swiping stuff.
I use the stylus because I mean, if you got electric gloves and flipping thick gloves on, stylus is the only way to go. Other thing.
Well, exactly.
Just how do you drop a? Once I get into this, I'll be able to get it sorted. I know how after, but I just don't know how to operate it.
Do you want to drop a waypoint?
Yes.
Okay, so again, go into your map like I am.
Yeah.
Scroll up so that it goes into pan and zoom mode.
Scroll Oh, yes, I've
Yeah,
now
and then you've got the
got
plus and minus, and then just put your finger on the screen and hold, and you get that, which allows you to
create
do
a new
three things.
waypoint.
Yeah, either navigate to wherever you clicked, or to create a new waypoint there, or it appears to be showing us also the statuses of the nearby airspace as well. But again, that's one of about 5 things I've learned tonight, is how to do that.
Okay, I will. This is going to be recorded, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So you'll have the joy of listening to all my dad jokes twice.
Yeah. Okay, good stuff. Anyway, brilliant, Tim.
Good questions, Ken. Any more before I stop
Hi, Tim.
sharing?
Can I ask a question? Hi, my name's Tom. Once you've completely butchered all your settings by getting everything wrong, is there a reset to factory defaults button somewhere?
That is a really good question. Well presented. Now I
There's
know
lots of
that in
confusion.
I know that in XC Saw. Hang on a minute. I'm going to check this on my other phone. Just bear with. I know that in XC Saw, all the settings are in a file somewhere. So I'm going to go to my other phone. I'm going to the file manager, XCTrack, config, empty folder. Oops. Blah, blah, blah. Log. You know what? I don't think there's an easy way of doing it. Let me try and have a quick rummage on this phone. I'm just going to...
Can't find the undo button.
There's no such bloody thing. Somewhere on here, there is... I'm looking for an app. There we go, File Commander. So this is me now browsing the file system on my phone. So if I go internal storage, go away. Internal storage, then everything XCTrack lives in there. Now, if there was a
anymore.
Oh, hang on. Cast. It got grumpy. Come on. Do your connection. Do your connection. It doesn't want to connect to my iMac. Let me try that again. Tink. Come on.
It looks like there's some answers to this sort of question in the chat about saving the config file before you do anything.
Testing and debug. Save and reload the config file from within XCTrack. Let's have a look, see if I can find out how to do that. Boom, boom. So I'm guessing it's under preferences. Testing and debug. There we are. Right, I'm going to see if I can connect to my screen again. The answer is there. Thank you for whoever wrote that in the chat. Let's try casting again.
And there's a run first, run wizard again, which will most probably set it back.
Yeah, but what I do apologize. My silly computer doesn't want to let me connect. Let me just try again. It's getting a bit of stage fright. Okay, here we go. Let's try again. Yeah, so if you go into the app and you go drag down, preferences, testing and debug, and then scroll down, and there's a section there which is save configuration to file. And then you have load configuration from file. So you don't actually need, I should have done that before this evening's session because I've just destroyed all my settings now. So I'm going to have fun setting those back. So yeah, it's a built-in feature. And so you can either export or import, or export and import, or you can just do a complete wipe and run the wizard again. Thank you for that.
That's what I should have done.
Yeah, I should have done that before this session. Any more points or any more questions for Tim P?
Can I ask you a quick one? I've added the Vario widget, but if your phone obviously doesn't have a Vario for the Vario, it won't show it, will it?
Okay, so this is down to the hardware configuration of your phone. If it's got a built-in barometer, then you should, in theory, get some rough equivalent of a vario out of it. The thing to bear in mind is that it's never going to be anywhere near as good as a proper dedicated flight vario.
Not as sensitive.
Yeah, it's for all sorts of hardware reasons. Basically, it's rough and it doesn't have the smoothing, and they use crappy chips for it. One of the ways that you can tell this is either if you go to gsmarena.com, or if you, in fact, the easiest way, let me see if I can type this to everybody.
So do you leave your vario off then?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat there, gsmarena.com. Put the model of your phone in there and then go into the spec, and you'll be able to see if it's got a built-in barometer. So what I find works for me is I basically, because the XCTracer is amazing, I just rely completely on that, and I don't trust the phone to do anything except display the feed from the XCTracer. So yes, it's got a vario bar on there. Arguably, I don't need that because the XCTracer's got an amazing display anyway. And I don't have the phone do any audio at all except airspace warnings.
I was just about to switch them all off.
Yeah. And I mean, if I'm somewhere like Westbury, I'd switch the warnings off anyway because I can see where the airspace is. And of course, I never fly anywhere else anyway. So, any more points? Anything for Tim P?
Hi, Tim. Richard Howell here. Just a very basic one. You get your 3 default pages of thermal assist, XC assist, competition. While you've been talking, I've been setting up a customized page.
Cool.
It's called empty. How do you change the name to? I want it to be like soaring or takeoff or something like that.
Okay, I think you should be able to just edit it, shouldn't you? I'm just trying to connect to my.
I've double clicked it, and it'll keep copying me loads of new empty pages. But
let's have a look. I'm going into my preferences to see if I can work out how to do it. Preferences, pages layout. I'm going to make a new one. I'm going to call it an empty one.
Mine was automatically called empty.
Now, there is a way of doing this. There is a way of doing this. Hang on a minute. No, can't get it to work. I'm holding it over.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be in pages layout. It shows me where the extra page called empty, and it's got all the. Well, I've added a few widgets. I can live with it being called empty, but it would be nice to have it called soaring or something.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's one of those. Unfortunately, we need to submit a feature request for it. I really can't find a way to make it do that, you know. Status line. No, it's just not implemented yet. Get the source code and I'll fix it for you.
Okay,
Can't be
I'm
difficult.
not sure how I get source code, but yeah.
It's actually not an open source project, so we can't. We'd have to just submit a feature request to them. It's a simple little thing.
I thought it was bound to be a simple thing that I was just missing, but
I think unfortunately it's just not possible looking at it from mine. I mean, if I tap the title of the page, nothing happens. If I hold the title, nothing happens. If I double tap it, nothing happens. It's just
you're trying all the obvious things that I tried. So we'll leave it as unsolved at the moment. And
I think our American friends would abbreviate that to SOL.
Yeah. Okay. Cheers. Thanks, and thanks very much. It's been really useful, as I say.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Richard Shirt's saying it's not possible. What I've done is use the free text widget, type the page name in that, and position it at the top. That's a great idea. Yeah, put a free text widget on the page, chuck it on the top, and it'll always be on there. That's a nice workaround, isn't it?
Yep. Thanks so much. Cheers.
Any more points from anybody?
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for a great one.
That's really good. It's got me going. I managed to get me plus and minus on. That was driving me bloody nuts. That was.
I didn't know about it until tonight, Ken. Tonight has been nothing but an epiphany for me.
Whatever that means. It's been revelations for me. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, okay. Now I've got to work out how to drop a point. Anyway, it's looking better. I'm getting there. I've actually got a screen that looks sensible now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right, Sean, Tim, any points from you guys?
No. If nobody's
I'm going to stop my recording then.
Yeah, I will close the recording. Bit of editing tomorrow, and I'll post this on Facebook for that. Not on Facebook, on YouTube for those that have been asking. But thanks, Tim and Tim. Great sessions as always. Hopefully, look forward to seeing you all on a hill very, very soon.